Welcome, everyone, to episode 22 of the NEKO-ALPHA show, live from Tokyo. Bringing you the Japan-related NFT Alpha and more from the United Neko Alliance on the ground here in Japan. This is Reno. I'm here with my co-hosts and United Neko Alliance co-founders, Neil and Steve.
GM, Neil here. Hello, everybody.
GM.
In today's show, what we're going to do is a pretty standard format. We're going to do a quick recap of this week's excellent spaces. We'll get into the alpha and then a few community updates, drop some plugs, and put a fork in it, and we'll be good to go. So before we start, of course, as per usual, please remember this is not financial advice. Do your own research. This is our commentary, info sharing, and hopefully a little bit of entertainment as well for you, the listener. So with that, let's jump right into it and get into our Spaces recap, which was great. We had a great Spaces on Tuesday.
Yeah, 2 days ago, we had three people who joined us, or three projects that we talked about. First was Abasa, who is a veteran of the crypto space in Tokyo. He's a long-term Bitcoiner from back in the day, and he's been doing a lot of different projects, now into NFT stuff. Launched a project last year called Tokyo Degenerates. It's being relaunched, rebranded, and he introduced it on our Spaces on Tuesday, so check out that recording. It's called Gachi, and Gachi is it's actually created by him. He's got a number of artists that are doing different parts of the project. They've got a couple cool things that they're doing. One is the picture-in-picture concept. So if they're starting it with the Bored Ape PFP. So if you've got a Bored Ape in your wallet and a Gachi in your wallet, you can illustrate a T-shirt on your Gachi, which is kind of cool. So it's he's going to be opening it up to other projects and trying to work with that technology and that concept. And he's got the Cow Pass, which is going to be the pass within the ecosystem that they're creating. Use it to get access to different things, and if you're a minter, you'll get the OG version green mint pass, and various levels. So that's going to be playing out over the next few months or so. He opened up the Discord for people who would like to go in there. We tweeted about that. So if it's still open, you'll be able to get into his Discord.
And for those just
go ahead.
Yeah, for those just listening, Cow Pass is it's not cow as in beef. Cow is face in Japanese. So that's the meaning there. Just a quick note on that one. But it's a very cool project, very ambitious. And he mentioned we could definitely see a Neko on the PIP, the picture-in-picture concept. So that could be very cool.
Yep, very cool. So we also talked about the Mupi project by Haru-san. Mupis there's 115 cute characters that he's created. They're really cool. There are a lot of different types of characters, as you can see there, with some kind of motion to them, which is cool. A lot of them are walking or swimming or flying right to left. So it's I like the motion in there, and I like the art, and I like the cuteness of the characters.
Yeah, it's a small collection, but it's fairly diverse and somewhat non-standard, maybe not even intended to be a PFP. I'm not sure in the way it's presented and the left-facing full body sort of thing. But I like the primary colors and the implied motion of like it's going somewhere. So yeah, we had a brief intro on that one, but interesting project to check out.
Yeah, thank you to Sophie-san of NFT-JPN for introducing Haru-san. So thank you. And then we also had in the Spaces Hope-san, who is one of the good friends and regular contributors in our Spaces. So Hope-san was introduced through the NFT-JPN kind of overview Notion website here, which is a really great resource to see, to get information about different projects, different creators in Japan. But Hope-san is if you don't know, he's a creator of butterflies, and butterflies symbolize hope and rebirth, and trying to do something better and do new things in life. Talked about his butterflies a little bit, and he also talked about his background story. I definitely recommend going to the Twitter Spaces recording and listening to that story. It's very heartfelt. It takes a lot of courage to talk about your story sometimes, about what you've been through. And I think everybody has been through something, and really shout out to Hope-san for sharing that with us. And, it's also, it reminds me of the fact that a lot of creators and artists have, there's some story behind what they're creating and how they're creating it. So it's always really nice to hear about what creators has been doing to put their projects together.
Definitely. And
yeah, he also had. I just wanted to say he had an exhibition recently. AOT-san, who was also joining us in the spaces, did this exhibition. He did it with another artist named Yukari-san. That was an amazing little online metaverse exhibition. So AOT is going to be doing more of those. Sorry, go ahead, Rena.
Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I was just gonna mention we've heard a lot of stories about people doing Web3 NFT stuff who've sort of overcome sort of mental health challenges through being able to create their own art exactly how they want to create it and share it with the world, and in a lot of cases derive income from that as well. So it was very cool to hear his more in-depth story. It's a bit of a harrowing tale, but he does have the hope now coming through it and doing lots of collaborations. He did live translation and voice performance for our interview for Neo Tokyo Punks even. So yeah, and also check out AOT, Art Oriented Tokyo. That dude's interesting. He's an artist as well, but he's doing a lot of interesting curation for projects here in Japan. So I think that covers it. Yeah, let's jump into the alpha.
All right, so we've got a bunch of stuff to cover this week, and I thought we'd start off with the most alpha of the alpha. We've got some very long, it looks like it's written belly long here, belly long CNP. So Crypto Ninja project is something we've covered recently. I mean, almost every week, because there's always something new coming out of that community. And this is one of two mints happening this week. The other one, don't have the link to the other one here, but if you check out the Ninja DAO Discord, you can get that. But they're both having mints on Sunday, July 31st. So that this one, very long CMP, is interesting because this is going to be, so supply 11,111. That's a full size launch. So obviously generative, and so this is a derivative of the very long animals for the animals community. And I think that some of the people involved are from the Love Addicted Girls community and the Crypto Ninja project. So this is really three major NFT communities sort of converging on one project. So very interested in this one. Definitely want to check out, because everything we've seen come out of Crypto Ninja projects, like everyone mints out, everyone holds a good floor. And this is launching at 0.001 ETH. So I'm pretty interested to see how this goes. And the art's really cute too. I mean, this is like, if you've seen the very long animals, you can see the banner here. It's taken those animals and they redone them in a style similar to the Crypto Ninjas style. here's yeah, you can see how that style is got some similarities there. And this is exactly what I'm talking about here. 22,000 items on the Crypto Ninja Partners launch from a few weeks ago, holding a 0.43 floor. So that's really amazing. So
Really remarkable.
now, yeah, moving to the NFT ranking Japan, we see Murakami back up at number 1. He was briefly down at number 2 or 3 there a week or so ago. I think when Megami minted. But the news out of Murakami, of course, there was a snapshot a few weeks back, and this is what the snapshot is all about. We've got this so we are gifting T-shirts to Murakami flower holders as of the snapshot taken on July 10th. And please submit your request to the site below. So it's his usual site, murakamiflowers.kaikiki.com, and there's a place there to register your info and no info on how long we can expect it to take T-shirts to arrive, but they're getting shipped to people all over the world. Yeah.
I just love the sort of his sense for the pictures that he takes. The background. We've commented on that before. Some of his little teaser pictures really gives you kind of a different sense, like some kind of unglamorous, but in a way real view of life.
Real Japan. Yeah, it's kind of like the. I mean, this is like almost industrial, but it's got. I don't know. It just looks very like a Japan scene.
Yeah, it's very plain, like residential. And one of our first episodes we covered him doing that sort of that long talk that he did on Instagram, and he was just walking along some random riverbed somewhere. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm in Shibuya, look at the bright lights, big city. It's just kind of everyday life stuff, which is interesting.
Yeah. And I like this shirt. Like the front's got a tiny little emblem, and then the back's got a huge flower saying, "You are a Murakami flower holder." And of course, people will be looking at that, going, "I am." All right. So moving on. Next, we've got, so what is that? Coming in at number 3, we've got ANIM.JP. So this is a new entry into the top 10, and quite an interesting project. Here you can see 6.6K items, 1.7K holders, which is a little on the low side. Floor price 0.04, also quite low. But I mean, what's interesting here is, so this is a animated GIF, but it's an it's like a generative PFP with several of the parts animated. So that's quite interesting. I haven't seen many examples of that where you can see ears moving, you see some tail movement, then there's the hand moving and eyes blinking.
Yeah, some of it's really subtle too, like the figures that they're holding in their hands, or their little eyes are blinking too.
Yeah, so this is a group of where do we have a little trying to find the write up on who they are and what they are, because it's pretty interesting. I think it's maybe on their website. Yeah, that's what I'm missing. So let's have a look at that, because this about. So it's a group of animators, basically, right? So what we accomplish, we exist to create a new structure for the entertainment industry and to create a new generation of IP. We are an anime production DAO founded by Japanese anime creators, producers, and engineers who have worked on Pokemon, Evangelion, and Psychopaths. So these are people with experience. So this is something I think we're you, we've been waiting for in a way, right? Because there's so many anime inspired projects, and a lot of people abroad are like, well, how would I get in touch with a real manga artist or a real animator from Japan? And so here we're going to have a DAO, so basically sort of taking control of their own production. So I think we can expect to see interesting things coming out of this. We're definitely going to try to get to know these people and hear more about what they have planned. But this is the start, and it may not look like it just came out of nowhere. But it's already, I think we're seeing some innovation in the art here, the way they've put this generative animated GIF together. So I think I might pick up a couple of these just to hold and see what happens, because I expect interesting things to come out of this kind of group.
Yeah, I agree. Team and really unique art and concept that they're doing here. One comment that I had is interesting that these PFPs have the project name right up next to the head of each of these characters, and then the number of each piece right kind of pretty close to the movement of the hands. So I wonder how effective it would be to make this a PFP for yourself, because if you
Yeah,
because I think you're going to be like sort of showing the project name and number or slightly obscuring it, so it might look a little bit odd.
yeah. Like if you look at the spinning pencil hand, that's probably going to fit into like your typical PFP circle. But a lot of the other hands are quite low, like the pen writing one. So that's going to get cropped probably. But
Right, cropped
yeah,
exactly.
don't really know. Yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to see. There's we'll have to find some examples of people who have made this their PFP and see what it looks like.
And just for the record, I'm going to go right against the grain. I think it's a great idea. I love the number on there. I love the project name. And even if the animation is hanging off the edge a little bit, if I know this project, it makes me want to click on the PFP and see the full size. So that's just me, just on the record.
Yeah, I mean, I like the art, right? So, and I basically just like anybody trying to do something different and innovate anywhere, right? Not every innovation works, but if people aren't out there trying, then you just end up with copies of the same stuff. So I'm a fan, and I'm very interested to see where this leads to, because I feel like this is just like here's our calling card, like here we are. This is not the end game for them.
So
Yeah,
maybe it is a
exactly.
calling card. It's not really the PFP itself. Maybe this is something that will give you access to something else, to a PFP. So
Yeah.
calling card, interesting thought.
And with that, we'll move on to, so what do we got? Number 4, right after the ANIM.JP, we got Edo2022, which we introduced previously, and now they are revealed. So here's the art on that. Let's have a quick look at the stats here. So again, 2K items, 1K owners. So decent ratio of owners. Floor 0.36. That's also pretty decent. And interesting thing now that we see the art is both left and right facing, a mix of those things. I'm not sure I've seen that before.
Yeah, very unique. I haven't seen that.
The art is curious. Like it almost seems like the faces are done by one artist, and the bodies, the clothing and accessories are done by a different artist. If you look closely, like they're subtly different, which is interesting. That could be the case. Actually, I haven't looked into who the actual artists are.
It's
Yeah,
possible. On their website, we do know who the artist is, the build artist, but it's possible there's a team. But
Yeah.
if you go to the website, we'll see that it's by Kasame-san. So we've got 3 projects we're gonna talk about today. This is the second one. That is seems like a big collection of people who are pretty prominent in the space. So we'll be able to see that a little bit lower down in here on this website. But this is
Rumble.
so just scroll. Yes, so scroll up. You'll be able to see that this particular one was made by Kasame-san right there, illustrated by Kasame.
Yeah, and this is Kasame's Twitter, and then we had right below that. There's up and coming project, Shibuya Scrambled Punks, and,
Illustrated by Pinko-san, who with whom we've spoken in our spaces. So, a friend of the Neko Alliance. So cool to see Pinko-san doing some new things as well. Totally new artwork that
and I think
she's doing.
I think this grumble is a spelling mistake. I think they mean scramble, because on Pinko's Twitter it says Scramble Punk. So that's a pretty common. It's one of the common sort of spelling mistakes, putting Japanese into English, the A and the U, because they both have the sort of sound.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. I'm not sure which one it is.
Well, I mean, should we just scramble it?
But they could have done it on purpose, though, right? Like they could have
Well, that's the
purposefully
thing,
made it.
though.
I'm not sure.
I suppose, but
To those outside of Tokyo who may not know what Shibuya Scramble is, it's the famous intersection in the Shibuya district.
Yeah, if you've seen any like promotional video or something from Japan that's trying to show bright lights, big city, you've definitely seen it. It's where there's just, hundreds, if not a few thousand people at times crossing the street all at the same time. But yeah, scramble intersection. But they could be making a mistake, could be on purpose, not sure.
my money's on spelling mistake. But yeah, but looking forward to. So I don't see any teasers on that yet. So I think that's coming soon, kind of thing. This first one just released Edo2022. I mean, literally just revealed. So I think that's we're gonna see more from Pinko. But as Steve was saying, she was on our spaces, and we looked at her art, and we love her art. So excited to see that one coming up, and we'll keep an eye on that and let you know. So moving along, the next one is at number 8. We've got XANA Genesis. So we have mentioned XANA in passing before. It's come up a couple times as a different chain, a sort of blockchain that originated in Japan, and we talked about the marketplace in the past. There was the Astro Boy collection that was dropped by the city of Totori. And I think we ran into something else with the roosters or something that was selling well. And so we were a little bit curious about this chain. And so this keeps cropping up. And now we're finding out that this, it's not, this chain is a whole metaverse ecosystem. And so XANA Genesis is related to that, and it's dropped and pre-revealed. So 10K items, 2.7K owners. That's a bit low, but here's a look at the XANA website, and you can see, it's a metaverse preview type banner here, which looks pretty cool. A field of people metaverse technology for billions of users. So these guys have, and it looks like they've got an app for Android and Apple. Public alpha app is available. So we looked at some of this stuff. So 2 years of development. I think we mentioned that before. A lot of technology partners. There's the Astro Boy Japan NFT. And they're really going all in on the metaverse thing, which is their real mission. So here's absolutely competitive. So they're showing how they go up against Decentraland, Sandbox, and Axie Infinity. So their valuation currently, like 1.2 million US, is tiny actually, compared to all of the other ones.
So this
Especially
project,
since,
yeah.
go ahead, Steve. Yeah.
Well, this project, looking at the information, they've raised $500,000 through DAO Maker. It's an IDO funding entity, which is the number one in the world. But 500,000 trying to compete with these major metaverses, it's very ambitious, and there are a few different groups trying to get into the space. And we know about Other Deeds has raised other side with Other Deeds has raised so much money with Andreessen Horowitz, and it's going to be interesting to see how they can compete against all these other players. That's one thing. Also, that with this new chain that they're creating, that's obviously very ambitious and something that other metaverse developers have talked about. They've talked about it with the other side. They haven't done that yet, but it's something that's been discussed. So quite ambitious. And I just had an experience recently with Decentraland, not to jump the gun a little bit, but I think once we talk about this, we can kind of talk about an experience I had, which leads me to believe that there's a lot of work that these metaverse developers are going to have to do to get things really rolling properly.
Yeah. Most of the super big companies in Web 2, they all started with small teams. So they already put in 2 years of work. They built and launched a blockchain. They've launched with smart contracts. They have an NFT marketplace. This stuff's it is happening. So they definitely are builders. They're building at a rapid pace. And I think and a lot of these partnerships are very Asia focused, which is also really interesting to have this sort of born in Asia blockchain that is well, at least they're saying they're going to be very decentralized. Well, you got to wonder if it's really like, is this going to be what the governance is going to be like, if it's going to be very decentralized governance, or if it's kind of a company behind it. So that's going to be a key thing, I think. But
that's a very good point. Actually, they tweeted a few days ago about a partnership in China, and I think that's where they keep using that word billions to serve billions. I think that seems pretty key to what they're doing. I don't know how that's going to work exactly. If crypto's sort of being cracked down on in China, and China's not big for decentralized. At least government entities aren't big on the whole decentralized notion. So be curious to see how this all bears out.
Yeah, it's. But I think some of their partnerships. I mean, I saw something from Thailand. I saw, obviously Japan. They've pretty strong focus on Japan. So, and of course, Indonesia is a big market. So there's the largest percentage of the world's population is in Asia, and to have something really Asia focused and coming out of Asia. And really looking to serve the Asian market from the beginning. This website, just for example, this website's got 2 of the Chinese languages, Korean and Japanese and English to start with, right? So, yeah, I'm really keen to. I was a little dismissive when we first saw them sort of pop up. It's like, okay, do we really need some to go build another layer one? But I'm a little more positive now that I see just how much they've been building and that they're working hard on the collaborations. I mean, they've got their work cut out for them for sure, but it's good to see people with big goals. And here's so Rio No Borders. This is the founder. So I believe he may be Dubai based, but he's Japanese. The team in general is quite international. Where did we saw? So somewhere I saw a sort of list of the team. Yeah, here it says U.S. headquarters New York, global headquarters Dubai, development India, development Pakistan. So that's that's about it for XANA. But we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on what they've got going, and I'm looking forward to trying out their alpha mobile app.
Cool.
And so yeah, sort of with the metaverse discussion there, I think that Steve was going to touch on an event from the weekend with a friend of a NEKO Alliance friend, EdoLena, who we talked to in our spaces the other day, and then she had an event on the weekend, right, Steve?
Yeah, she was on our spaces last week. Check out that recording. She was really a lot of fun to talk to. She is a VTuber. She's an amazing singer. She's got a metaverse wearables line. She's got some NFT music NFTs that she's doing. And she had a party on Saturday night. It was the EdoLena Castle Party. Something to that effect. And it looks like a lot of people were in there jamming out. You can see somebody's got a little sushi backpack right there, a little like a sushi tamago, like a egg sushi backpack. That was a wearable that was released just for this party. Unfortunately, I couldn't get in, and it was a really frustrating experience for me. I've been in something in Decentraland like a long time ago, but this is the first time I tried to go into something I really wanted to participate in. The site was just was slow, was not it was basically just stalling and was not letting me in. There were errors. There was some problem. It was saying there's some issue with my browser. I updated that. I did some experimental settings in Chrome to try to get in. But long story short, I wasn't able to get in and have fun with EdoLena and everybody. But a few people who were in there did some real time tweets about the party and said it was really fun. So just given my experience, how hard it was and how heavy the decentralized metaverse platform was to try to get into it, I just really feel like there's going to be a lot of work ahead of anybody who's trying to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's scaling is one of the big metaverse issues, and of course, other deeds is really tackling that first with their partner. But yeah, I think that's kind of one of the big things that all of the metaverses platforms are dealing with. Like, you know, you can have lots and lots of servers to scale out, but when you want to try to have an event where everyone's in the same location at the same time and they can see each other, then they quickly run into limits. And that's been my experience in Decentraland too. Like sometimes it's okay and I can move around, but usually when it's okay and I'm moving around, there's very, very few people. So when you kind of think like, well, if we're going to like scale this up to having millions and millions of people using it, then we really have, you know, we need to do better with the scaling issues. So
And I can't wait for the next event by EdoLena. She's really reaching out to the overseas market, trying to do a lot of events like this, do more with the wearables. So I'm really looking forward to the next thing, and hopefully I'll be able to get in.
Yeah, and just a note on that, she is a very good English speaker, super high energy. It would be one to try to get into, definitely, from something coming from Japan.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to get her in for an in-depth interview and really like talk about, because she's doing so many things. So got her the VTuber thing, and her wearables.
Yeah, and the music NFTs as well. She let us play one of her full songs on on the Spaces 2 weeks ago, or not 2 days ago, but last week's Spaces. We were able to close it out with one of her full songs, and so yeah, you're right. She's doing a ton of stuff. She seems to have the energy for it. She's very lively.
Yeah, no question on that. Okay, so moving along. So we're at number 12. We got Ichiya Calligraphy Collection, ICC, and Ichiya.eth at Shodo. Shodo, of course, is the Japanese calligraphy, the way of writing, NFT artist. And here's his OpenSea collection. It's still a small collection, 38 items, but pretty high floor price there, 4.77, which is not the, I don't think that's what it's been selling for. But if you look at the activity, it's, over one, like 1.9, 2.9, 2.6, 111. And going back days, quite a bit of activity in recent days, and then pretty decent prices even a month or more ago. So this is pumping for some reason, and maybe he's got something else coming.
Could definitely expand it, right? There's but it's generally accepted that you need about 2,000 kanji characters for fluency reading and writing Japanese.
Well,
so there's a lot to draw from.
The official list. There's an official list of kanji for
Yeah.
that you're supposed to know by the end of high school, which is it's like 1,800 something.
Yeah.
And of course, people that go on that are very literary, read a lot, or go on to university or any kind of specialized area may learn many, many more. But that's the
a lot to draw from, at least.
All right, and that's I think that's it for the alpha.
Yeah, so we got a couple community things to mention. Oh, we got to mention our interview with Mina from Netani that just went live yesterday. And we had a great conversation with her. Also nice, great energy. Things flowed really well.
Yeah, and really, Metani is a really interesting project. It's got a really strong community in Japan, and they're very committed to sort of going the next step and becoming an internationally recognized project. They had an amazing sort of breakthrough in the spring when they did a collaboration with Yardi Pamyu, which is a very famous J-pop kawaii artist that has a lot of international fame. And she was at Coachella, and they were so the Matani characters were on the big screen at Coachella, sort of around Yardi Pamyu. But, a lot of the Coachella folks may not have known that those were sort of NFT avatars. So it felt like a huge breakthrough to them, but then they realized that, there's still a lot of work to do in sort of becoming internationally known. But it's an interesting team. The founders have a background as VTubers, Misoshita is he's actually the person behind the Wave event, which was at the big club in Japan Blockchain Week, and he did a collaboration with EdoLena, a live collaboration of the two of them being as the VTubers doing a live collaboration there. Yeah, it's a very interesting project, and still very affordable. So one to look at if you're trying to get. And Steve, what do you think? A lot of these projects we're looking at now, it feels like we're seeing a lot of movement in avatars and wearables in Japan, in the Japan NFT scene right now.
Yeah, for sure. And Matani also is trying to use its avatars through like a metaverse kind of rollout. So another good example of like ambition in the metaverse. But yeah, there's just so much energy that event you mentioned like that blockchain week event at the Wave event. There's so much energy, and Matani was there. Founders were there dancing with their headgear, the Matani headgear, and giving out T-shirts. And there's a lot of just energy about the project. So it's we kind of touched on that a little bit with in the interview, but there's a lot of energy here. It's very famous, and it's very popular. So trying to get that energy to be kind of transmitted overseas is a big challenge. But yeah, absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, I feel like we know that there's so much. We can see it here week by week that there's just so much activity in the Japan NFT space. But I think what we're still waiting to see is where's Japan going to sort of break out and suddenly be recognized as a leader in some part of NFTs, right? And it's inevitable. We know it's happening very soon. But this is definitely a top candidate, sort of the avatar scene and the wearable scene, because it's just I feel like there's so much interest in that. And even like the thing we just showed with in Decentraland there with EdoLena, right? Everybody had wearables related to a lot of them were like stuff that she's been selling. So they had her wearables there. It's not just like people showing up with the default wearables in Decentraland. It seemed like everybody was dressed to kill there.
That's a good point. They were wearing wearables, previously released wearables, and then she had a specific wearable for that event that people were wearing. And I tried to buy it and go in there wearing it, but absolutely. And Matani is really positioned well for the wearables play as well. If you go to the collection, you can see that. It is a metaverse intended character. And they talk about the design and the way it would be displayed for wearables. So I think it would be also very well positioned for the wearable market.
Yeah, and this is like, and if you think about it, like the kinds of things that become popular in Japan, there's often a fashion angle, and people are really quick to adopt. I mean, the adoption rate in Japan is incredible once you sort of get something pop out. And people are like, okay, I want to be identified with that, and they're like right in on the fashion angle. So this could be the one of the areas that Japan really like jumps out and ahead on.
Cool, yeah. So definitely check out the interview. Just went live yesterday, and it's a nice little piece. About 28 minutes, I think we talked to her. So good, comprehensive, but also flowed really nice. All right, so then the last thing to mention, I think, is the next, just a quick mention, the next NFTers meetup, correct?
Yeah, and this is going to be fun. I'm very excited about this. This is coming up next Tuesday again. This will be our third time in a row at the Shibuya Trunk Hotel. That location is working out really good for us. It's so spacious. And we're typically bringing, I'd say, sort of 50 to 70 people each time lately. And although I wouldn't be surprised if this next week goes in a little higher, because we've got special guests. We're going to have Akeem from Very Long there, and the word's getting spread in the Very Long community. Remember, this is a community with there's now over 200 derivatives of the Very Long Animals project. We just talked about a major 11K generative Very Long collaboration project minting this weekend. So I'm really hoping that we're going to see a bunch of Very Long Animals derivative project fans and creators. A lot of the fans are creators, right? A lot of these 200 derivatives, basically, we've talked about it before. That's how you get involved in the community, is to make your own derivative.
Right.
So I said, we tweeted about this, and then I said, I'm really excited to meet more people in the Very Long community. And then Akim immediately replied and said, me too. So, because it's true, right? We people through their Twitter online, but not everybody gets together IRL. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Really looking forward to this one.
Definitely, yeah, and we've talked about the Very Long. I love that it's the Very Long community now. Like that's an official term. Akim was our first interview actually for the show, and he talked about that, about how not only was he sort of open to the derivative thing. It was like that was his strategy, like primary strategy. Like it's basically CC0 and everyone just go wild with it. And it's been a good strategy. The community's huge and growing, so that'll be good. Be good to meet him in person, and hopefully get a chance to talk to him. I'm sure there'll be tons of people wanting to do the same. So check that out if you're in Japan, if you're in the Tokyo area. That is next Tuesday evening. You can see tweets about it on our Twitter. If you want to RSVP for that, come join us. And it's a bilingual English and Japanese event. So whichever you speak, you'll find someone to interact with for sure, or both. So that's about it for today's show. Subscribe, give us a like, all that YouTube stuff. Check us out on Twitter. You'll find all the links to our project, including Discord and Instagram if you're into that too. Check out our spaces every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Japan time, 6 p.m. Pacific time in North America, 9 p.m. Eastern. So join us there. The spaces have been growing nicely, and we've been getting some great sort of high-level guests who come in and talk about their projects and their history and motivations and future and all that sort of stuff. And we often get a fair amount of alpha dropped in the spaces as well. So come check it out. And shout outs to NFT who's a great partner on spaces, and just in general being a conduit to great new artists here in Japan. And of course, to Hope-san, who not only we featured in the spaces, but just is an amazing resource in the NFT community and really a pillar of what's going on here in Japan. That's about it for today. So for my co-hosts, co-founders, Neil and Steve, thank you for joining us. Hit those Web 2 portals, push us through into Web 3, and that's a wrap. Neil, you want to talk over the outro? I know it's becoming a tradition now.
Yeah, next Spaces is going to rock because we've got something big dropping.
Oh yeah, that's going to be cool. Yeah.